my guest, Dr. Joanne White. I am so glad to have you on my show. I remember the days when you did my radio show. You were wonderful, fantastic.
This is fantastic, so thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And your subject was so interesting. You actually coach people who are entrepreneurs.
Right.
They want to have, especially in this economy, they want to have a little leverage over the economy. Tell us about that. That's very interesting.
Oftentimes people are, maybe they've lost their job, maybe they're dissatisfied with what's going on in their job, and they're looking for something else. And you and I were talking earlier about passion. Maybe there's a particular passion or gift or talent that they have, and yet they're not putting it to use in their job. And so part of my job when I'm working with entrepreneurs, and I also do life coaching, is to help them focus on that, gather the courage, and take the steps to sort of make that quantum leap into entrepreneurship so that they can open up their own business successfully.
Do you think one of the problems that people have is that they really don't know what their passion is? Like you said, they really don't know what they're supposed to be doing in life.
You know, I think that's so interesting because oftentimes people don't take the time to think, well, what was I interested in when I was younger? What am I doing? What really gives me pleasure? What do I do that I really would love to be doing more and I feel? And so they don't ask the questions. You're so right, Yvonne. They don't really check it out or investigate. And yet what my job is as a coach is to have them do those questions, those sort of self-evaluation, if you will, to really take a look at what's going on with them and to get them ready to move on.
Great. And one of the other problems I find that has affected so many people, especially in today's economy, is stress.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things that you help people with. Tell us about your stress management program.
Well, there are so many different forms of stress, and stress can be life stress, and stress can be, as we've been talking about, business stress in business, and it can be, it's really what our response is to an external situation, whether it's a change in our life. And often people don't think about it, Yvonne, but it's also our response to maybe an internal situation or something that's going on inside of us. So for example, if I'm fearful about something, about being on the Yvonne Kandi show, okay, and I'm dwelling on it and I'm building it up and I'm thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm creating that internal stress for myself rather than taking a different tact and saying, okay, I know how to do this. I know my field. I can be comfortable in talking to Yvonne. We've done that before. So I think it's how we handle it that's key, because stress isn't going to go away.
No.
And some stress is really healthy stress. So our response, what we do with it, is really incredibly important.
Yeah, stress is actually just another human emotional feelings. It's natural. It's like anything, like fear is natural.
Right.
But don't you find that dealing with stress, sometimes people really don't know what causes their stress?
You know, that's...
They're stressed out. Isn't that a strange thing?
Well, again, people need to really do a little bit of self-investigation and take a look. And one of the things about the self-management program in terms of stress is self-awareness. So you have to know what stressors out there in the environment or internal stresses are getting you sort of off course or off balance. And for everybody, it's different. And for many people, their responses to stress are also different. So one of my colleagues says that somebody's response is to put their foot on the gas or their foot on the brake. Okay, those are two responses, and do you know what yours are?
It depends on the situation.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I know that before there was GPS, when I would be in a car, and sometimes I'm not the greatest personal navigator, I'd be in a car, and I would get lost, and I'd have to turn everything off. I'd have to turn couldn't listen to music, couldn't turn my phone off. I had to really focus and concentrate because the stress was building up, and that was the only way to really get it down.
Yeah, I think I would put my foot on the gas depending on if I wanted to get out of the way of someone, or if, you know,
Right.
if it depends. It depends on what you're feeling inside. And sometimes I think you have to use a little bit of judgment, and you have to pay attention to your feelings, and you go with whatever feels right.
Right. The emotions are key in stress because it's what our emotions are conjuring up that creates that physical and emotional response in the body. So, for example, somebody's greatest stressor could be the fact that they're consistently late for work. I have a client who is consistently has a challenge with time management, whether it's work, whether it's meeting friends, and she's lost a lot of friendships that way because people don't want to wait an hour. And sometimes they'll say, well, let's meet at 5 when it's really 6, just so that she's on time. But people need to know what their stressors are, and they need to know what their responses are so that they can really come up with what I call better coping strategies. If what we're doing in terms of handling the stress isn't working, well, let's change it. Let's find something that does work so that we feel good about whatever situation that pops up in our lives.
Do you find that the more a person worries about something, that the more they continue to do it?
Yeah, worry is one of those internal stresses. And then we're out of control. We're worried about things that may never, ever happen, or things that happened in the past. I have another client who, she said, Dr. White, I can't sleep at night. And so I said, well, what's happening? Well, I try to go to sleep, and all I'm doing is I'm thinking about, and I'm not thinking about good things, about the next day or my children. I'm thinking about what happens if I'm in a car accident? What happens if I'm late for work? What if I can't meet the deadline? Those kinds of things. And so she's contributing to her own nervousness, her own stress.